you want to, I'm doing interviews. So if you want to do an interview about Clubhouse or something, let me know, and we can come up with
Sure.
questions. Yeah, just to
Yeah.
how people make them.
Well, it's about storytelling, right?
Well, I'm not sticking to that. I'm uploading one today that my friend and I did on travel and creative writing.
Okay.
And then I talked to my friends in Austin who own the game board company, and
Yeah.
we're going to do one for them. I just love talking to people and finding out what they do. So
Right.
I don't, but the one that to be consistent was the storytellers because they're easier to get on camera. People are really hard to get on camera.
You know what I think? I just thought of this. There's like 3 stories that I love to tell.
Mm.
And Diane will tell you my eyes light up and I become a different person when I have the opportunity to tell these 3 stories.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, you know me, I'm the story person. So
Yeah.
anything that relates to story, I'm all on board with.
So I wonder if you could have like non-professional people just say, "Hey, tell us your favorite story, a story you love to tell people."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, but finding people who aren't already comfortable with public speaking,
Yeah.
it's difficult to get them to do that. Recording that.
Mm.
So,
Well, I'd be happy to do it. I got lots to say.
yeah. Well, let's think of some questions and what you want to talk about, and let's do it. To me, that helps me outward focus because I'm an extrovert, and this is really taxing my who I am is staying indoors and isolated. So anything outward focusing for me is good for my mental health right now, and that's why I started this. So I love it. I love that idea.
So
cool. Well, Kylie, one of my favorite stories that you told is the one that ends with "It's good to be me."
it's good to be me. Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, about that church in Dilley.
Yeah.
I love that story too.
Is that what it was? It's good to be me.
No, I love to be me.
I love to be me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that story too. So Shane, would you want people to email you if they want to be on your podcast or YouTube channel?
Let's talk about it at a different time.
Okay.
I need to know what you're thinking.
Well, because I'm Facebooking live right now, and I always post this video to the internet. So if there's potential people that want to be interviewed or
that have a story to tell.
they have a story to tell or anything, any ideas, would you want them to email you?
Sure. Like we can definitely talk about it and figure it out. Because I don't know what I'm doing. Are you Facebooking live in that part?
Yeah. That's where you start.
I don't have a plan. I don't have a master plan. So,
that's perfect.
It would be something that we would have to work out on what we're going to do, but I'm open to it. So.
I always say things start small and messy and unorganized, and that's perfect. That's exactly.
You know me. I love to be organized, so it's very stressful for
me. Mark.
Yeah, I'm supposed to interview a political candidate that's running for city council next week.
Oh, really?
That I met a couple of years ago. So I thought that was going to be fun. We came up with questions to ask to help him clarify what he's doing, and so I'll work with anybody that's interested. So
ShaneLarengo@gmail.com.
Yep.
ShaneLarengo@gmail.com. All right, well, I guess we can get started. I don't know where Charlie and Kayla and them are. They might pop in later. And again, if you enjoy this Saturday group, promote it. Tell people about it. Post it on your own media channels, whatever that is.
Well, I know Pete was planning on joining us, but he had a phone emergency.
Yeah. So one of the things that was interesting is earlier this week, I came home from work and I got in the shower And when I got out, I came into the living room, and Diane was watching an old black and white, I think it was in black and white, movie. And I started sitting there watching it with her, and there was a little girl on there that was playing the Glad game. All these people in her life were like negative and gossiping and like backbiting and speaking negative. Like they were saying how badly they hated Sunday because they had to go to church. And like nothing good happens on Sunday. And then you got to come home from church and cook a big meal. And so these ladies were sitting around like cracking peas, you know, and like shucking corn and all this stuff because they had to make this Sunday dinner. And all like three of them were talking about how badly they hate Sunday. And this little girl was like, well, let's find something to be glad about. And so she started just coming up with reasons to be glad on Sundays. And all the older ladies were like, she's so annoying. That kid, get her out of here, you know. She's annoying. Go back in the house, you know. And if you're not going to help us. And I told Diane, I said, what's the name of this movie? And she said, Pollyanna. And I said, is that where they get that term that somebody's being Pollyanna? And Diane's like, yeah, duh. And I'm like, well, I didn't know it was a movie. I didn't know where that word came from. And she said, yeah, somebody who's trying to be kind of happy for no reason, maybe naive in a certain way, is called Pollyanna. And so I watched part of the movie, and then I had to leave and go run errands. But I thought it was interesting. So I came up with kind of like the talking, working title for this group is, can we ever truly be happy? Or could we truly ever be happy again? Or have we ever been truly happy? And I just thought we would discuss what happiness is. And have we ever been happy? And are we always playing the Pollyanna? Like, are we always just making up reasons to be happy? Or are we truly happy in certain parts of our lives or certain part of our day or certain seasons of our lives? Are we happy and then we get unhappy? And then where does joy come in on all that? And so I always put out the intention there that here at Woke House, I don't think we're really... So the aim, as far as I'm concerned, is not really to learn a whole lot about Buddhism. If that happens, wonderful. But I think it's a place to connect. I think it's a place to work on community and have a sense of community. I feel like it's a place to openly discuss with others. I think it's a place to really think. I don't think we get a lot of opportunities in our lives to truly think through certain topics or just our thoughts. Get practice at thinking and then verbalizing what we're thinking. So in a minute we're going to do the chanting and we're going to do the sitting meditation and all that stuff. And there'll be more opportunity to discuss. And I have some reading from a Buddhist text, of course, about happiness, but I just wanted to start out by throwing it out to you guys, kind of group wisdom. Like when I was talking about Pollyanna, or if you've seen that movie, or have any idea what Pollyanna means, and also what is happiness, what is joy, are we just faking it all the time? Like, what's going on with this happiness thing? And that's anybody.
So, Kyle, you know the crystal art installation that I have on my balcony?
Yes.
That was inspired by the movie Pollyanna.
Are you serious? Oh, yeah, when she hangs the stuff in the windows.
From the old man's crystal chandeliers and, like, gets him happy.
Oh, yeah. And
I get accused of being Pollyanna a lot. And, like, I feel better. Like, I can't, that's my nature. If I'm laughing and smiling and glad about things, I feel better. So it doesn't, it's not for everybody. That's not how they feel better necessarily, but it's definitely how I survive.
Yeah, and that lady had taken to her sick bed, and she took all the stuff off of her lamp and put it on the window on a string, and it made that lady feel better. There's prisms, rainbows all over the room. I did see that part.
Same with my apartment. That's why all those dancing rainbows are all over my apartment.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you for that. Anybody else got something about happiness or Pollyanna or anything?
Hey, Kylie, I have not seen the movie Pollyanna, but it sounds to me that Pollyanna was not naive, but that she was actually pretty wise. You know, I mean, to me, you know, when I think about happiness, it's you know, I can make a choice to be happy in any given situation. You know, and I can always find things to be happy about. Um, you know, a big part of my recovery from drug addiction was, you know, learning gratitude, because you know I was in self pity a lot of the times. You know, and so for me to, you know, to find things to be grateful about, you know, it would help lift me out of the self pity. And you know, there's always something to be grateful for. Um, you know, for me, being happy is not really about the external conditions being right. You know, it's about being internally right.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Edgar. Yes, I make a real connection to what you said, Edgar. Thank you. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, me too. I said, yeah, me too, because I think of it. I think of it more. I think you're exactly right about it being internal rather than external. And I think of, and I forget this sometimes because just like everybody else, I'm human, and I look for happiness in external things. But I think that, you know, I think that true happiness is just sort of being content with what is, you know, just, you know, because it's like, you know, we don't have joy every day. We have good days and we have bad days. That's what it is to be human. And I think, you know, for me, real joy just comes from being content with, wherever I am. And I do forget that at times.
Thank you, Mark.
For me, I think there does have to be a balance, because although like I feel like I'm connected to an infinite source of whatever, that's just my belief. That though that like sometimes internally it's hard to muster, and sometimes you need something external to help you refuel, you know, your sense of gratitude and joy, because it's not, I mean, it's yeah, anyway, I seek a balance because it does need to come from within and without, like as above so below kind of thing. If your exterior is completely devoid of any kind of joy or gratitude or people that help give that back to you, it's really hard to keep creating it yourself, I've found, for me.
You need a support system to help you maintain that happiness. It's hard to just maintain that by yourself. Yeah, I can see that.
But if you also know how to do it internally, in those moments when everything outside of you is gone, to give you that support, you can create it for yourself. But finding that balance, I think, is we can't completely depend upon ourselves, because we're not just us, right? We're you and me. And so, like, depending on people around us for that, not depending, but surrounding ourselves with it is very helpful, I've found, for me too.
Well, I agree with what Edgar said. Like when I was drinking all the time, you know, I felt stuck and I felt like in a negative situation, and that was my one coping skill. was drinking, but it was also a depressant. So then it also made me more depressed. And I almost lost my support system because nobody wanted to be around that misery, you know? And then when I started finding a glimmer of hope in my own life and started fanning that flame of happiness, more people started coming into my life. And then it seemed like the more I found inner contentment, and I could encourage myself, and I could kind of, like Edgar said, be more, use gratitude to see the good things that were actually in my life. It attracted more people that wanted to be around me and wanted to be a support, So I thought that was interesting. All right. Well, anybody have any last thing to say before we do the chanting?
Yeah, real quick. First of all, sorry I came in a little bit late, and I'm on a different computer, so no camera. Sorry. Real quick. I was watching a TED Talk on positive psychology, and they're talking specifically about how the outside is not, like, he was talking about how he was a guy who went to Harvard, and he met with other people who went to Harvard, and he said, like, he looked around and he showed us, like, in the TED Talk, he shows you a picture of, like, their dining room hall. It looks like something out of Harry Potter, and he's like, how could anybody not be happy here to just have the privilege of being here and learning and all this stuff? And he says that, the outside is, very low way to predict how happy we are. And he made it sound like, as he was going on about it, he did talk about how it was important to kind of develop a skill and to try to look for things that we can be happy about and to be thankful for. And so, like, what Mark said was, like, looking for something, that you're content, like, to be happy with. And I also agree with Shane in the sense that you do need to have connection. But I also think that that's another thing to be thankful for, right? So in that sense, like, it all ties in to that. And I think that they were right in the sense that if you're in a place where you're negative and you just look for negatives, it's going to be easy to go there. But if you develop the habit to try to look for the positives, I think that that's where it may be a little bit easier to do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Jorge. I'm glad you could join us. I wish we could see you, your smiling face. Your smiling face always gives me joy, but I'm glad you could be here, though. All right, so I can't do both. I can't pull it up on the screen and do the chanting. But if you want to put yourself on mute and just kind of go into a meditative state, we'll do the first part of the ritual, the chanting, and then we'll go into the meditation. I'm reading a book now that there's three levels of learning in Buddhism. So it's like meditation, contemplation, and I can't remember what the third one is. But at some point I'll bring it out and we'll talk about it. All right. Refuge in the three jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free from obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha and myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma and myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha and myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities, to embrace all beings and support their transformation. We'll bow to the shrine 3 times. Offering of flowers. This spread of flowers, fresh-hued and fragrant, I offer at the sacred lotus feet of the noble sage, with flowers in great variety, the Buddha I adore, and by this merit may I gain release. Even as these flowers must fade, my body too will pass away. Offering of light. With lights brightly shining, dispelling the gloom, I honor the fully awakened, that light of the triple world who dispels the gloom of ignorance. Offering of incense. Perfumed with infinite qualities, the Tathagata, fragrant of face and form, I revere with incense, sweet and penetrating. What I love about doing Woke House in this room is it always smells like incense in the spare bedroom. Every time I walk in here, it makes me happy. Because this whole room has the fragrance of this beautiful incense that our Lama gave me. Offering of water. We offer water, symbol of purity, to the Buddhas of all times. May this water both wash away the obscurations of ignorance and sate the thirst of craving and aversion. Notes on mindful breathing. Anapanasati is mindfulness on respiration. Ana means inhalation. Anapada means exhalation. Concentration on the breathing process leads to one-pointedness of the mind and ultimately to insight, which enables one to attain liberation, freedom, and perfection. The Buddha practiced concentration on respiration before he attained enlightenment, but this beneficial meditation may be practiced by any person, irrespective of religious beliefs. We will inhale through the nostrils normally, without strain, without force. While doing so, the mind may wander, but one should not be discouraged. When a wandering thought is detected, label it as thinking and return to the breath. All right. So we usually do about 15 minutes of sitting meditation practice. If I feel some inspiration, I might do a little guided meditation. If maybe some words come up or some words are given to me, I might share them with you. If not, we'll just enter into the silence together, hold each other in support in our meditation as a community.